So 64% of all Democratic voters and fully 94% of Democratic voters under 30 years old prefer their party nominate someone other than Joe Biden for president in 2024. That's according to new polling from the New York Times and Siena College. Of respondents who want to see Biden ousted as leader of the party, 33% said that the president's age is the deciding factor, while 32% said that it's his job performance.
The Times' Peter Baker reported this weekend that while White House aides insist no special accommodations are made for the 79-year-old commander-in-chief, some officials quietly watch out for him. Quote, he often shuffles when he walks, and aides worry he will trip on a wire. He stumbles over words during public events, and they hold their breath to see if he makes it to the end without a gaffe. Times later faced backlash on Twitter for reporting that some experts, in quotes, that's how it appeared in the story, put the president in a category of super-agers who remain unusually fit as they advance in years, which I made fun of that on Twitter. Like, they're experts again. Who are these experts? It wasn't really explained in the story, who think he's a super-ager. Where's their evidence that he belongs in that category? And I don't really, if they're looking out for him tripping, that's totally fine. The question is if he's mentally still there.
Yeah,
and that's
right.
Fine to, yeah, okay, I trip, everybody trips, it's fine, that's not a problem. It's, does he know what's going on? Can he communicate what's going on effectively? That's what we're worried about.
I think for 80, he does seem fairly fit,
Sure.
But physically, but mentally, for sure. He's definitely missing some. But interesting that they want to replace it. So Democrat voters, particularly the young ones. Now, I was just thinking this last night. I was just browsing around on the news, looking around, and I noticed something. I noticed that Pete Buttigieg's name continues to pop up in these news outlets over and over and over again. And last night I was thinking, they're doing it. They're grooming us. They're trying to get us ready to replace Biden with Buttigieg. Here it is. I really think the party is saying they wanted Kamala. They were hoping for Kamala. That's why they made her vice president. That's why they also gave Buttigieg, the only other candidate, a slot in the cabinet. It was very clear those were their two favorites. That's actually where they shifted resources when they didn't think they originally gave him to Kamala, actually. All of the main big Democratic donor, the big Democrat strategists went to Kamala. When her campaign fell, they shifted him actually to Buttigieg. Then Biden ended up doing well, and okay, Biden's got this in the bag now, turns out, after all. So I really think, though, that they were hoping for Kamala. That's not happening. Her approval ratings are worse than Biden's. Buttigieg is the guy. They're going to put mark my words right now, I'm willing to make a bet. Buttigieg ends up being the nominee. You
really want to bet that?
Yes, yeah. I'm willing.
We can bet it right now. He will not be the nominee.
I think Buttigieg, or okay. Let me modify. Give me the ability to modify. Okay. Buttigieg will be at least vice president, and as soon as Biden is president, they'll then have him step down, and Buttigieg takes over within a year of his second term. Yeah.
The problem is like the Democratic bench seems not only like short, it seems non-existent. It's very hard to think like who could even step up. I mean, clearly Newsom is trying to put himself forward as the like anti-Ron DeSantis, which suggests like he sees himself perhaps in a role in 2024. On the age question, I will say, I look at someone like Nancy Pelosi, who is still, I think, as sharp as ever, still, the most powerful, maybe even the smartest person in any room she's in. And I don't say that as a fan of hers. I'm a big critic of Pelosi's, but she's older than Biden and I don't think she's showing her age in any way. I really don't think it's about race, about age. I totally agree with you guys that this has much more to do with competence. But to me, the problems with the Biden presidency are not problems of age. They're problems of values and problems of, who you care about, who you're listening to. He went into office promising he was not listening to Twitter, and now he is ruling like he is the ruler of Twitter and very cognizant of his far left flank, very unwilling to compromise or speak in a way that appeals to the vast middle. There are so many ways in which he's waging this war on the middle class, the price of gas and refusing to allow for, drilling on federal lands and refusing to cater to or speak to or address the two huge concerns that average Americans have, which is inflation and gas on the one hand and violent crime on the other. These are mistakes that I think if any Democrat were in office would be mistakes they'd be making at this moment in time, thinking about where the party is and who they're speaking to and who they see as their base. So I'm not sure that age is even the problem here. Like if Joe Biden were 10 years younger, I believe he would be making many, if not,
more.
all of the same decisions. Yeah, exactly. So,
you're so right, because it's an issue of competence, and that was supposed to be the promise of Biden. You're sick of Trump. Everybody, except his most rabid fans, sick to death of having to hear about politics constantly because of Trump. And then while things economically were going very well during the early years of the Trump administration, then you had the pandemic. Things were bad. The promise of Biden was getting back to normal, getting things under control. And now things are worse than ever economically on so many fronts. It's a competency issue, and I don't think anyone believes that competency issue would be better addressed by Kamala Harris. The problem with Buttigieg, for me, and look, I know there's probably a lot of our viewers, I think, really dislike Buttigieg or perceive that he's even more of like a neoliberal centrist type person. He's not a progressive left type person. I don't care about that. So I would be absolutely open to a Pete Buttigieg, but he is currently presiding over a massive disaster. The air transportation, the air travel thing is a huge problem. It is so screwed up. He is not projecting confidence or an ability to address that whatsoever. I don't know if they thought they were giving him an easy job that was going to prime him for a more important position or greater role of prominence in 2024, 2028. But he is totally blowing it, and I think he projects even less competence, if that's possible, given how effed up that situation is right now. So
none of that matters to the Democratic Party. That hasn't ever mattered. They have total disdain for their own voters. They don't respect their voters. They don't listen to the voters, and they haven't for a really, really long time. I mean, you could go back into the 60s where the Democratic Party acts like kingmakers. And that is what they're doing that's what they tried with Kamala Harris, and they're going to try, and they're having to pivot from her because they're saying that doesn't work, and they're going to do it to Pete Buttigieg. They don't care about what the voters think. I mean, that's why they're not caring about Biden's competency, and they're making it an age issue so that they can just swap him out with somebody like Buttigieg and say, oh, here's a young Biden for you, essentially. And he caters a bit, they're thinking Buttigieg is good maybe for the woke crowd the same way Kamala Harris was because of his sexual orientation. And he's a family man with kids. And so they're going to say, oh, this is the new America. And so Buttigieg is the guy. They don't care about what the voters actually want or what the voters are actually thinking. That's why they're ignoring the problems within the administration, the policy problems of Democrats in general. They're not paying attention to any of that. So all of that is just over their heads. They don't care. They're focused on one thing and one thing only: remaining in power at all costs. And they don't need to have policies except more war, like usual, and continuing to line the pockets of their big donors, the corporate masters that they're beholden to. That's so that's the Democratic Party for you. So they don't care. Buttigieg is the guy. I'm telling you, Robbie, I'm willing to make the bet.
I predict Biden-Harris ticket in 2024. I'll take the safe bet because they can't force him. I don't think they can force him from the ticket, and no one ever gives up power, ever. He would have to, unless he died. I don't know. What do you think, Batya?
I do think it's possible that he will not run in 2024, but I don't know that I would put my money on Pete Buttigieg.
We'll come back to this.
All right. I feel an actual bet brewing, so we might need to hash this out. We'll be back with more Rising in just a minute.